Hey everybody, I want to give you guys an update on these disaster relief loans, right? First, they're broken down into the EIDL and the PPP, all right? The SBA today came out and said that, they've ran out of funds. Well, one of the things I truly expect to happen is eventually Congress is going to wind up passing a second round of stimulus. Right, and just because the SBA ran out of funds doesn't mean there's banks that don't have allotments of funds left, right? And anybody whose application is already in, they're going to continue to work on, right? That's just how this works. If you look up the loan tracker that Mark Cuban made, you can see most people, and when I say most people, I would say over 90% of people have not gotten their Paycheck Protection Program funds yet, and I would say over 95% haven't gotten their EIDL. The EIDL has two parts, right? It's very, very important to understand this. One is an advance based on the number of employees. That's the one that's capped at like 10, maybe 15K. The second piece to that is the EIDL loan, okay? And that loan is a max of, 10 years, 4%. That's worst case scenario. That's what that's going to come out at. Worst case, 4% over 10 years. All right. It is very important that when you're doing this, you have professionals look over it and run the numbers right. Because a lot of people, what I'm seeing is if they went to the wrong place, they're getting shortchanged on their PPP. And when the loan aspect of the EIDL comes out, they're also going to have trouble getting that through. Why do I say that? Because traditionally SBA loans are not the easiest programs to get into. There's a lot of back and forth with underwriting, and it's very important that you actually work with somebody who has done these before. This might sound like I'm promoting, myself and Sprout. I'm not. I don't care. You could come here. I'm happy to work on it for you, or you could go somewhere else. Just make sure the person that, is doing it has experience. Because if they've never done an SBA loan before, they're not going to know how to package it. They're not going to have a relationship or relationships that they've worked with in the past that they can have clear lines of communication with. Now, I want to give you guys some great tips moving forward to make sure that, one, you get everything done the right way now if you're in that first round of stimulus, and two, if you're in that second round of stimulus, this is really important to hear. Okay, one, whoever you're working with, make sure they have experience and make sure you get them all the documents as quickly as possible. Okay? Make sure the documents are complete and they're labeled and you confirm that they have everything. Underwriters might ask for additional documents once they look through the first round. You have to be prepared for that. Okay? The processor might ask for additional documents after the first round or two of review. You have to be prepared for that. So what's the best ways and best things that you can do in order to make yourself, have the highest likelihood of getting funding and the highest amount of funding possible? Make sure you have clear lines of communication. You have to make an SBA loan a priority, right? Because there is a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of back and forth with who's helping you, and there's a lot of back and forth with the underwriter, all right? So whenever that person calls, make sure you make it a priority, make sure everything's in and it's organized and it's readily accessible. All right, those are the things that are going to give you the best chance of success. That, and obviously not having any crazy blemishes on your credit report. A few of the disqualifiers for these programs were back child support or an open bankruptcy. So if that's the case, don't apply because it's going to jam up the systems. The other thing I would tell you is don't apply multiple places without pulling your application from the first one. Because what's going to happen is you're going to set off flags or they're going to raise alarms if they have multiple applications, whether it's the PPP or the EIDL. All right, and when you apply with somebody, it's okay if you've already applied. Just make sure you give them your application loan ID or loan number, right? And that's the loan number that you get as soon as you applied for the EIDL or the PPP. So make sure that you're telling the person you're working with absolutely everything, because a lot of times they can take over that loan number and work it through their channels, right? That's the advantage of going with somebody that has experience. It's very important because they're going to work through their normal SBA channels. So a lot of people don't know this, but when you go into SBA.gov, that gets round robin. All right, so you could either work with an SBA processor, a bank, or they've actually hired FEMA workers that probably don't have all that much experience to help with the crazy surge in volume, right? So that's the advantage of going with somebody that has done these before, because they can work it through their channels, who they're comfortable with, who they have a relationship with, who they're familiar with, versus getting round robined. And maybe you get a bank that has tight guidelines. Maybe you get a bank that, or a processor that doesn't really know what's going on because they're new. That's going to hold up the application, and it might actually make you not get the amount of financing or funding that you applied for, right? These are all very, very important scenarios to consider when you're trying to get into an SBA loan, and especially because everybody is applying right now, for these SBA disaster relief programs. All right, I really hope this helped you. If you're interested in working with us, I'd love to take you on as a client. All right, I do expect them to pass a second round of stimulus. So all you have to do is reach out. If this is in a web page later on the line, and this isn't just on YouTube, click the link below, fill it all out, and we'll schedule a call. All right, I hope you guys are staying safe, and take care.